99% of men don't do this. Women love it. Sounds extreme maybe, but let me ask you this. How many times have you seen a guy who seems to have it all, yet still struggles to create deep, meaningful connections with women? It's not about looks, money, or confidence. The truth is, most men completely overlook certain small yet powerful gestures that can make them irresistible. And today, I'm about to reveal 7 hidden seeker secrets that women secretly crave, but rarely admit that these aren't the typical dating tips you've heard 100 times. These are subtle, psychological triggers backed by both science and ancient Stoic wisdom that can transform the way women perceive you, making you unforgettable without trying too hard. Imagine this. What if you could tap into the subconscious desires that most women don't even realize they have? What if you could effortlessly stand out from 99% of men, not by chasing, not by proving yourself, but by understanding what truly makes a woman feel seen, desired, and emotionally connected? And here's the thing. If you don't know these secrets, you're at a major disadvantage. You could be missing out on building the kind of attraction that keeps a thinking about you long after you've left the room. That's why you need to stay until the end of this video. The final secret is the most powerful one, and once you understand it, you'll never look at attraction the same way again. Before we dive, then do me a favor if you're serious about mastering these game-changing techniques. Hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of the life-changing insights coming your way. Let's get started. Secret 1: the power of touch before intimacy. Picture this, you're on a date. The conversation is flowing, she's laughing, and everything seems to be going well. But something feels off. You can sense that the connection isn't quite there. She's engaged and aged, but not fully drawn in. You drop her off, send a follow-up text, and then silence. No response. What happened? Most men focus only on words when trying to build attraction. They think a great conversation is enough. But for women, connection is not just verbal, it's physical and emotional. And there's one incredibly underrated way to create that connection. Touch, not in a pushy, aggressive way, not in a way that makes her feel uncomfortable, but in a subtle, intentional, and deeply meaningful way. One of the most overlooked gestures that women seek. Crave is a simple, gentle massage before intimacy. Sounds simple, right? But here's why it's powerful for women. Emotional connection is just as important, if not more, than physical attraction. A well-placed, non-sexual touch communicates so much more than words ever could. It says, I see you, I care about you, I want you to feel safe and comfortable with me. It's not about being a massage therapist or trying to impress her. It's about presence, being in the moment, making her feel relaxed, understood, and desired, not just physically, but emotionally. The key. It's not just about touch itself, it's about the intent behind it. If you're just going through the motions, it won't work. But if you're present, engaged, and actually paying attention to how she responds, she will feel it. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, once said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one, don't overthink it. Don't make it weird, just be in the moment and let your actions speak for themselves." Here's the harsh truth: most men never take the time to understand this concept. That's why they remain part of the 99% who struggle with emotional intimacy. But the men who do, they create deep, lasting connections that women can't forget, in a world where most guys rely on instant gratification and surface-level interactions. This kind of thoughtful approach is rare, but when you master it, you become part of the 1%. The men who truly understand what women desire on a deeper level. Secret 2: flirting with confidence and respect. Most men misunderstand flirting. They either overdo it, coming across as pushy and desperate, or they hold back too much AAs of making a mistake. The truth is, women love flirting, but only when it's done with confidence. subtlety, and respect. A man who knows how to flirt effortlessly stands out because he creates an energy that feels exciting without pressure. Flirting isn't about impressing her with false jokes or exaggerated compliments. It's about keeping things playful, light, and engaging. Think of it like a dance you lead. She follows, but neither of you should feel forced into the movement. The best way to do this is through teasing in a fun, light-hearted way. For example, if she says she loves a certain type of food, you could respond with, "Really, that's the best you've got. Clearly, you've never had my cooking." It's a subtle challenge that keeps the conversation interesting while creating a sense of playful competition. More importantly, good flirting isn't about seeking approval. The moment you try too hard to impress, you lose your edge, women, and are naturally drawn to men who are comfortable in their own skin, who can joke around without needing validation. This is where Stoic philosophy comes in. A high-value man doesn't flirt to win a woman over. He flirts because he enjoys the interaction itself. He remains emotionally grounded, never desperate for her response beyond words. Eye contact and body language are key. A confident, dense smirk, a slow nod, or a well-timed pause speaks louder than any pickup line. Attraction isn't built through words alone. It's built through presence, energy, and confidence. When you flirt with the right mindset, women feel it instantly. So are you flirting to impress, or are you flirting because you enjoy the moment? Master this, and you'll see how attraction shifts in your favor. Number 3. The power of touching her hair. Most men completely overlook this, but women love it when a man knows how to touch their hair. When done at the right moment, is one of those small, seemingly insignificant gestures that can create an instant emotional connection. But if done wrong, it can feel awkward, forced, or even intrusive. The key lies in understanding why this works. The scalp is one of the most sensitive areas of the body, filled with nerve endings that trigger deep emotional responses. A well-placed, gentle touch on her hair can send subtle yet powerful signals of intimacy, trust, and attraction. It's not just about the physical sensation, it's about the unspoken message it can be. I see you, I'm present with you, and I'm attuned to your energy. But here's where most men go wrong. They either rush it or do it mechanically, without any real connection behind the gesture. Touching her hair isn't about playing with it. Absent-mindedly, it's about creating a moment of closeness. Picture this: you're sitting with her, engaged in conversation, and at just the right moment you gently brush a strand of hair away from her face. That single action, done with intention and confidence, can say more than words ever could. Timing is everything. This isn't something you do on a first encounter or before you've built any emotional connection. It works best when she already feels comfortable with you, when there's chemistry and warmth in the air, if she leans in slightly, if she smiles in a way that invites closeness. That's when you know the moment is right. The worst thing you can do is force it when she isn't ready, which is why presence and awareness are crucial from a Stoic perspective. This ties back to emotional intelligence and restraint. Stoicism teaches us to read situations without acting on impulse, to remain in control rather than being controlled by desire. This means not reaching out just because you want to, but rather because it's the right moment to create a connection. So the next time you're with a woman and the moment feels right, don't underestimate the power of a simple touch on her hair when done with confidence and intention. It's one of those rare, subtle gestures that make a lasting secret. Number 4. The hand on her back in public. This might seem like a small, insignificant gesture, but in reality it speaks volumes. A simple, confident touch on a woman's lower back. As you guide her through a crowd or while walking together, communicate something profoundly attractive. Leadership, confidence, and protection. And yet 9% of men either overlook it or hesitate, unsure whether they should do it at all. Women don't need grand displays of masculinity to feel secure. They need subtle, instinctual signals that a man is grounded, present, and capable of leading. When you place your hand on her back, in a calm, self-assured way, you send a message that you are in control of yourself in the situation without having to say a single word. It's not about dominance or control, but rather about showing her through action that you're there, you're aware, and you're leading with quiet confidence. But here's where most men go wrong. They either hesitate too much, making the moment feel awkward, or they do it in a way that feels forced and unnatural. This isn't about possessiveness, nor is it about seeking validation. It's about presence when done correctly. The touch is light, but deliberate, brief, but intentional. Just enough for her to feel it, and register your presence in a way that feels effortless and natural. Picture this: you're walking side by side, heading toward the entrance of a restaurant. As you step ahead to open the door for her, your hand briefly rests on her lower back, just enough to guide her forward without breaking stride. It's a moment of quiet leadership, a gesture that subconsciously reassures her that she's with a man who moves with confidence and intent from a Stoic perspective. This ties directly into self-mastery and emotional presence. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." An Stoic man doesn't seek approval for his actions. He simply embodies strength, awareness, and quiet control. When you place your hand on her back, you aren't seeking a reaction. You're simply being a man of presence and leadership. And that alone is magnetic in a world where many men are either too timid or too overbearing. Mastering this simple yet powerful move sets you apart as someone who understands the subtle balance of strength and care. Fifth secret: be her hero, the protector. Let's pause the noise for a second and get real about something every man feels but few ever own out loud: the deep urge to protect, to lead, to be someone she can lean on when the world starts spinning. Not because she's weak, not because you want to control her, but because it's hardwired into your masculine core to shield, not smother, to stand, not chase. And here's what most men miss: women crave that. Not a bodyguard, not a dictator, but a man who carries the kind of presence that says without words, "You're safe with me." And here's the twist: you don't earn that role through muscles or money. You earn it through emotional strength. See, most guys think being her hero means stepping in with a solution, solving problems, telling her what to do, fixing her bad day like it's a broken pipe. But the truth, that's not what she wants. What she really wants is a man who can stand still while she unravels. A man who doesn't flinch when she's emotional, who doesn't try to shut it down, minimize it, or make it about himself. She wants to know that you can hold her chaos without losing your clarity. Because when a woman is overwhelmed mentally, emotionally, hormonally, she's not looking for someone to fix her. She's looking for someone who won't be moved by the storm. Someone who doesn't try to escape. Someone who doesn't react. Someone who stays, but stays grounded. That's what makes you her protector. It's not loud. It's not flashy. It's not romantic in the movie sense. It's steady, quiet, unshakable. And the more she feels that from you, the more she can relax into her femininity. Because now she's not the one carrying everything. She's not the one leading the emotional charge. She gets to let go because she knows you've got her even when she's not easy to love. Now let's get specific. Being her protector means letting her feel without rushing to fix. Listening with your eyes, not just your ears. Keeping your composure when she's testing limits, not to punish, but to prove that her storm won't break your frame. Stepping up in stressful moments without over-explaining. Your calm becomes the signal. Here's the key: you become her protector before she needs you to be. That means you don't just respond to drama, you prevent it with your energy. You set the emotional tone in the room. You walk with purpose. You speak with intention. And you don't need to say, "I've got you," because the way you carry yourself already says it. But let me be clear, this isn't about being her emotional punching bag. Being a protector doesn't mean tolerating disrespect, instability, or manipulation. It means you protect your peace first, because a man who can't protect his own emotional state will never truly protect hers. This is why Stoic philosophy is so powerful in love. Seneca said, "No man was ever wise by chance." You don't stumble into this role. You choose it. You build it. You embody it. Not to impress her, not to prove something, but because it's who you are, who you've become, who you must be to lead, not chase, to protect, not prove. And here's the beautiful irony: when you step fully into that energy, she starts looking at you differently. She softens, she opens, she trusts, not because you saved her, but because you showed her that she never had to save you. So if you're done trying to earn affection with overgiving, if you're tired of being the emotional sponge just to keep her close, if you're finally ready to lead with grounded masculinity, type this below. I protect with presence because the man she craves, the one she respects deep in her nervous system, isn't the loudest. He's the one who doesn't budge when it counts. The one who listens without fixing, holds space without fear, and leads without losing himself. That's the man she trusts. That's the man she gives herself to. That's the protector, not of her body, but of her safety in your presence. Sixth secret: the charm of a beard. All right, let's talk about something that seems purely physical at first glance, but actually taps into something much deeper. The beard. To some, it's just facial hair. To others, it's a statement. But to her, if you carry it right, it can trigger an attraction that feels almost instinctual. Now, I'm not saying every woman loves beards. Some prefer clean-shaven, some like scruff, some love a full-on lumberjack look. But regardless of personal taste, there's a reason beards have always symbolized something primal, something masculine, something quietly powerful, and women feel that even if they can't always explain it. Because the beard doesn't just change how you look, it changes how you're perceived. And perception is everything in attraction. See, a well-kept beard signals maturity. It suggests experience. It carries an edge. It tells her silently, this man is past the boyish phase. He's not trying to impress. He just is. And that just is energy. That's stoic. That's masculine. That's the kind of presence that speaks louder than anything you say. Let's go a layer deeper. Psychologically, facial hair represents dominance and depth. Not the loud kind of dominance, the quiet kind. The kind that walks into a room and doesn't need to announce itself. It speaks through stillness, through presence, through detail. And when a woman sees a man with that presence, especially if he carries a beard with confidence and care, it hits something ancestral in her. She sees safety, but also strength. She senses a man who can both protect and provoke. Someone not easily swayed by opinion. Someone who lives on his own terms. But let's be clear, this isn't about growing a beard for the sake of it. A beard, when done right, is not just a look. It's a mirror of your discipline. It says, I take care of myself. I pay attention to detail. I invest in my presence. Because a wild, unkempt beard doesn't say power. It says carelessness. But a clean, intentional beard, it says, I know who I am and I'm not afraid to own it. Now here's the subtle part no one talks about. When a woman runs her fingers along your jaw through your beard, She's not just enjoying texture. She's feeling something deeper. It's contact, but it's also contrast. Your ruggedness against her softness. Her smooth skin brushing against your edge. It's a sensory experience, and it speaks volumes. That's the part most men miss. A beard doesn't just change your appearance. It creates polarity. And polarity is what drives chemistry. Not similarity, not comfort, but difference. Masculine and feminine. Stillness and movement. Strength and surrender. The beard, when paired with the right energy, becomes a tool to amplify that polarity. To make her feel more feminine, just by standing near you. But again, it's not about the beard itself. It's about the man behind it. Because if your energy is weak, if your boundaries are loose, if you chase, explain, overgive, no amount of facial hair will change how she feels. But if you carry yourself like a man, silent when necessary, selective with attention, grounded in purpose, then the beard becomes more than appearance. It becomes a symbol of the man you've become. And that is where the charm lies. Let's bring it back to the Stoics. Epictetus said, "Know first who you are, and then adorn yourself accordingly." You don't grow a beard to cover up insecurity. You grow it as an extension of identity. It doesn't make you strong. It reflects the strength you already have. So whether you keep a clean shave or let it grow, do it with purpose. Don't follow trends. Don't imitate style. Lead with your presence and let everything else follow. And if this reminder landed today, if you understand now that masculinity isn't just felt, it's also seen, then drop it in the comments. I wear strength, because the man who knows who he is doesn't just grow a beard. He wears it like a signal, a quiet reminder to her that this is a man who doesn't need to prove anything. He already is. Seventh secret: the power of shared laughter. Let me ask you something, brother. When was the last time you made a woman really laugh? I don't mean polite laughter. Not the "you're so funny" that comes after a forced chuckle. I mean that real, honest, unguarded laughter. The kind that makes her throw her head back and forget everything for a second. The kind that makes her touch your arm without thinking. The kind that drops her walls without a single word. Because here's what most men don't realize. Laughter isn't just fun, it's intimate. It's disarming. It bypasses all her filters. It skips past logic and lands right in her nervous system. You want to know the real psychology behind this? When a woman laughs with you, her body releases oxytocin, the bonding chemical. The same one she feels during touch, during intimacy, during trust. And suddenly, you're not just the guy she's talking to. You're the guy she feels safe with, the guy who feels like home. Now, most men never tap into this. Why? Because they're so focused on being impressive, on saying the right thing, on being strong, stoic, mysterious. And all of that has its place. But if that's all you are, she'll feel admiration, not attraction. She'll see you as composed, but forgettable. Laughter is what makes you unforgettable. It's the secret sauce, the space between the tension, the moment of breath when she realizes, this man makes life feel better. But here's what matters. It's not about being a comedian. It's not about trying too hard to entertain her. It's about knowing when to relax into the moment, when to tease playfully, when to let her tease you back, when to not take yourself so seriously. That's what creates the kind of chemistry that doesn't need touch to feel electric. Let me paint a picture. You're out with her. It's quiet. The mood is low-key. You notice something, some little moment no one else would catch, and you make a dry, perfectly timed comment. Her lips curve. She tries to hold it in. Fails. and now you're both laughing. That right there. That's more powerful than the best pickup line, because that moment wasn't forced. It was yours, shared, unscripted, real. And the beauty of it. She'll replay that later. Not the words, the feeling. She won't remember the exact joke. She'll remember how light she felt around you. And in a world that constantly feels heavy to her, that is addictive. Now here's what most men get wrong. They think laughter shows weakness. That if they're not serious, they'll lose respect. But that's backwards. The man who can be light without losing depth, he's rare. He's dangerous. He's irresistible. Because he doesn't need to be on to be powerful. He knows that laughter doesn't shrink his masculinity, it enhances it. It shows that he's not threatened by the moment, that he's in control of his energy, that even in stillness, he can create joy. Let's tie this back to Stoicism. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The art of living is more like wrestling than dancing." But he also said, if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. In other words, your ability to reframe life, to shift tension into ease. That's power. And laughter is that shift. It's how you lead her energy back to joy. How you teach her that masculinity doesn't always have to be heavy. That strength can smile. That stillness can spark. So if you've been carrying the weight of always being the serious guy, if you've forgotten what it's like to just enjoy the moment with a woman without control, without performance, it's time to bring that back. Not to impress, but to reconnect with yourself first. Because the man who laughs with her, not at her, not for her, but with her, that man builds something deeper than attraction. He builds emotional memory. And if that's who you're becoming now, drop this in the comments. I lead with lightness because the man who makes her smile is the man she wants to stay near. Not just when life is exciting, but when it's hard. Because laughter, brother, isn't just a sound. It's a signal. And when it's shared, it becomes bonding she can't explain but never forgets. Eighth secret, the power of dreams. Let's go beyond attraction for a minute. Beyond the touch, beyond the teasing, beyond the chemistry. Let's talk about something women crave but rarely know how to ask for. A man with a dream, not just a job, not just a goal, not just a plan for next month. I'm talking about vision, direction. A man who's not just surviving, but building something. Because here's the truth most men overlook. Nothing pulls a woman in deeper than a man who is unapologetically walking towards something bigger than himself. It's not about money. It's not about fame. It's not even about the dream itself. It's about what that dream says about you. It says you're alive. It says you're not stagnant. It says you wake up with purpose and that energy is contagious. You want to know what women truly find sexy? It's the man who looks her in the eye and says, "I can't stay long. I've got work to do," and he means it. Not because he's avoiding her, but because he refuses to lose himself in her. That's the secret. You don't win her heart by focusing on her. You win it by focusing on your path and letting her see the fire in your eyes when you talk about it. And here's why it works. Because when a woman feels your direction, when she sees that you're chasing something real, that you're not sitting still, not waiting on life to hand you anything, she respects you. She leans in. She wants to be part of it, even if she can't explain why. That's the power of dreams. They create gravity. They pull the right people toward you, and they quietly push the wrong ones away. Now here's the trap most men fall into. They think pursuing dreams means ignoring women, or that women will feel neglected if they're not the center of attention. But what actually happens when you place your mission above her, she doesn't feel less important. She feels more safe. Because now she knows she's with a man who won't crumble, who won't lose himself in her moods, who has something bigger to wake up for, even on the days she doesn't smile. And that right there is when trust begins. She may never say it, but deep down every feminine woman is secretly asking this question. Can I follow this man, not physically, emotionally, energetically? She wants to know that being around you means she's going somewhere, that your relationship isn't a dead-end street full of good vibes and no vision. That's why men who have purpose, who live it, who breathe it, who stay obsessed with becoming what they were built to be, those men don't chase, they attract, because their dream becomes the filter, the standard, the silent test, and only the women who are ready for that level of movement stick around. So ask yourself right now, what are you building? What excites you more than her validation? What future are you chasing with or without her by your side? Because if you don't have that, you become emotionally available but spiritually empty. You become pleasant but forgettable. And no woman wants to attach her heart to a man standing still. Now, from the Stoic lens, Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." That's dream energy. That's what makes you magnetic. Not because it's easy, but because you choose the hard path. You build anyway. You move anyway. You sacrifice anyway. And she sees it. Even if she never says a word. She sees the man who lights up talking about a vision no one else believes in yet. She sees the late nights, the self-discipline, the focus, and somewhere deep in her gut, she feels safe. Not because you're focused on her, but because you're focused on something greater. So if you're the kind of man who's done chasing relationships without direction, if you're ready to be chosen not for how much attention you give, but for how much purpose you carry, drop this in the comments. I chase purpose because the man who leads with dreams doesn't just win attention. He earns loyalty, respect, and the kind of love that doesn't flinch when life gets hard. Dream loud, move quietly, and let the mission speak for you. Ninth secret, the power of listening. Let's be real. Most men hear. Very few actually listen. And if you're the kind of man who wants to create real connection, not just chemistry, not just surface-level attraction, but something that grips her in a way she can't shake, then this secret right here is the one that flips the entire game. Listening, not nodding while you're waiting for your turn to speak. Not letting her talk while you scroll your phone. Not saying I understand without actually understanding. I'm talking about the kind of listening that makes her feel seen. The kind that slows her down, that softens her, that makes her feel safe enough to open, not because she's trying to impress you, but because she finally feels someone is actually there. And brother, when a woman feels truly heard, that's intimacy. That's connection. That's rare. Most guys try to impress with their words, but the high-value man, he impresses with his silence. See, real listening isn't passive. It's presence. It's keeping your eyes on her without fidgeting. It's catching the tone shift in her voice when she talks about her father. It's remembering that one thing she said in passing and bringing it up 3 weeks later when she least expects it. You want to blow her mind, don't buy her flowers. Listen to her closely enough that you understand the meaning behind the words she says. Because women don't just communicate for solutions. They speak to connect. They tell stories to release emotion. They circle around ideas to feel understood. And the man who rushes her, who tries to fix everything too fast. He kills that connection. But the man who sits still, who lets her feel her way through the words, who doesn't interrupt with advice but leans in with curiosity, that man becomes magnetic. Because now she's not just talking to someone, she's experiencing relief. And here's the part you'll never read in a magazine. When a woman feels emotionally heard, her body responds physically. That's right. The more she trusts you with her words, the more her body softens around you. The more she drops her defenses, the more she wants to be near you, not because you're chasing, but because you understand her. It's quiet dominance. And let me tell you, most men will never tap into this because it requires one thing: ego surrender. You have to stop needing to be right, stop needing to win, stop needing to speak to feel important, and instead choose to be present. There's a Stoic principle here. Epictetus said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." It sounds simple, but if you've ever had a woman say, "I don't feel heard," when you thought you were doing everything right, you know it's deeper than that. Listening isn't just hearing words. It's tuning in to what she's not saying. It's recognizing the emotion behind her silence. It's catching the subtle fear in her laughter. And when she realizes you've been paying attention the whole time, you become irreplaceable. Not because of what you give, but because of how deeply you see her. So how do you bring this to life? Here's what high-level listening looks like. You pause before you respond. You ask questions that show you care about the why, not just the what. You repeat her words back when they matter, not to parrot, but to reflect. You let her finish even when you're tempted to jump in. You watch her body language as closely as her words. And here's the real magic: the more you listen, the less you have to say. Because your presence alone starts speaking for you. You don't have to prove you're deep. You don't have to prove you're empathetic. You don't even have to make her feel seen. She'll just feel it, because you were there. And in a world full of noise, that kind of stillness, that kind of attention, it makes you unforgettable. So if you're ready to stop speaking to impress and start listening to connect, drop this in the comments. I hear her. Because the man who listens not to respond, but to understand, that's the man she'll trust with the words she's never said to anyone else. 10th secret: the power of spontaneity. Let's wrap this journey with something that most men quietly lose over time. Not because they're lazy, not because they don't care, but because life gets structured, safe, predictable. And here's the thing: predictability kills polarity. You want to know what draws a woman back in when she's starting to drift. It's not comfort. It's not control. It's not routine. It's spontaneity. Not chaos. Not immaturity. But the ability to act in the moment without overthinking. To surprise her not just with gifts, but with your energy. To say, "Let's get out of here," and mean it. To shift the mood, not with effort, but with presence. Because here's what most men miss. Women live in emotion, in the waves, the changes, the unpredictability. And while they crave the safety of your consistency, they also crave the spark of your unpredictability. It's a dance. And if all you bring is steady rhythm, she starts to feel like she's dancing alone. But when you mix the stillness with surprise, now you've got magic. You're the calm and the thrill, the anchor and the spark. That's what makes you unforgettable. Think about it. What do you remember most in your own life? It's rarely the days that went exactly as planned. It's the unexpected road trip, the spontaneous midnight walk, the off-script moment that turned into something permanent. Women are wired the same way. They don't remember the perfect routine. They remember how you made them feel when nothing was expected of you and you still brought something unforgettable. But here's the key. Spontaneity doesn't mean being reckless. It means being alive. It means you haven't numbed out. You haven't stopped seeing opportunity. You haven't killed the boy inside you who once said, "Let's try it just because we can." The man who keeps that spark alive, he becomes an experience, not just a relationship. And that difference is everything. Now let me hit you with something that might surprise you. Spontaneity isn't just about her. It's about you. It's about keeping your edge sharp, your spirit curious, your life yours, not just something shaped by obligation. Because when you stop doing things just because they're practical and start doing them because they make you feel something again, you become magnetic. Your energy shifts. You become the man who doesn't just wake up to exist. You wake up to experience. And women feel that. They feel when your life is more than checklists. They feel when you're following instinct. They feel when you're present enough to act without planning everything to death. That presence, that spontaneity, it turns everyday moments into memories. So maybe next time you're with her, don't plan dinner. Just take a turn you've never taken. Order something neither of you can pronounce. Tell a story she's never heard. Kiss her like it's the first time again, without warning, without buildup, just raw intent. Because here's the truth, polarity thrives in unpredictability. You don't need to be spontaneous all the time, but if she always knows your next move, she stops feeling the mystery. She stops wondering, and when she stops wondering, she stops reaching. So mix it up. Stay rooted in who you are, but surprise her with where you'll take it next. Remember, she doesn't want perfection. She wants to feel. And if you bring both stability and spontaneity, you become something rare. Not the nice guy, not the rebel, but the man who's grounded enough to protect her and wild enough to keep her awake. If you've been living on autopilot, if you've let structure kill your spark, if you've been doing everything right but watching the fire fade, this is your reminder. Be unpredictable with purpose. Let her feel that you're still alive, still curious, still capable of turning a normal day into something unforgettable. That's the power of spontaneity, and the man who masters it becomes the one she never stops thinking about. And there you have it, brother. 10 subtle but powerful truths most men never hear, but every woman quietly responds to. Not because they're tricks, not because they're hacks, but because they reflect something deeper. A man who's aware, a man who's present, a man who leads not with noise but with quiet understanding. The kind of man who doesn't just attract attention, but earns respect and keeps her heart. Because when you touch her before intimacy, when you walk with purpose, when you listen, when you laugh without fear, when you dream without apology, you stop playing the game and you start becoming the standard. If this video hit something real for you, not just information but recognition, then you already know what to do next. Keep building, keep sharpening, keep choosing to become the man that no woman forgets because he never needed to prove anything. He just was. And hey, if you want more content that speaks your language, your rhythm, your journey, go ahead and subscribe to this channel. This isn't fast food advice. This is for men like you who value depth over dopamine. Thanks for watching, and as always, I'll see you in tomorrow's video.